Ready? Play.
To maybe the biggest talking point before the tournament started, which is Iga Swiatek, and she played her first round match against Shramkova today, coming through 3-3. Iga was a breakdown in the second. Carson.
Yeah, she's played much better here, but a win is a win. And I feel like we'll say that for a lot of players today. Some players had quite routine wins. Obviously, she's established a pretty high standard at Roland Garros, winning 4 of the past 5 titles. So regardless of her form over the last couple of months, I still think there's a lot of expectation for her. It's a win, not the cleanest win. Shramkova is not necessarily the easiest opponent to play against either. She's going to give a lot to you, but Iga gets the win here.
Yeah, and it was quite interesting to see. Obviously, there's a huge amount of pressure on Swiatek at the moment. She doesn't even have her own quarter here for the first time in 4-5 years. So it's always going to be a bit of a challenge just trying to get back onto court and get through these early rounds. But she's been here for a long time, Damien, hasn't she? She arrived literally straight after her loss to Collins in Rome. She came straight here, didn't she?
Yeah, I think after Rome, there were definitely like 2 approaches she could have taken. One was just like go back to Poland, I don't know, train there, or basically just not look at a tennis court for a few days, which I think I would have done in her place. But obviously she knows herself the best. I thought that like all this build up, sitting at a tournament which you really want to win for like 2 weeks, for me, that would be torture. But obviously, yeah, she and her team, I mean, they made another decision. For now, it seems like it's fine. Like definitely wasn't panicking on the court. We're not really going to know until we see her coming up against one of the top players, whether like, the mindset things, whether they are all reset by now or not. But yeah, for now, obviously, it's not the type of win that she usually gets in Roland Garros round 1, which is usually just like 6-love, 6-1 against somebody. But Shramkova also did threaten, and I think even the 6-3, 6-3 is a little misleading. Like it easily could have been closer than this. So, just a good start, I guess. And we won't know really what Iga is made of at this Roland Garros until much later in the event.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, because we were kind of all expecting, as you said, that sort of like love and one sort of situation. But it's not an easy first round draw as she's had in, years gone by. But, still came through. And her round 2 opponent, Raducanu, also played today against Wang. Damien, obviously, Raducanu had a medical timeout at the end of the first set when she was serving for it. But it seemed like it didn't really affect her that much in sets 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think regardless of like the potential physical issues, second round is going to be very difficult for her. Today, just nice to get through because obviously she built up some momentum for this finally. The Kasatkina win in Strasbourg and everything, and it would be just very disappointing to lose in the opening round after that, in a winnable matchup at the very least. But of course, now it's just going to be like a completely different challenge. Which actually is also kind of funny because didn't Swiatek play Shramkova in Australia in the second round and then Raducanu in the third round? So basically she's repeating that same pattern. Well, in Australia, both matches were very lopsided. Now at Roland Garros, the first one wasn't that easy, but I think this one might be actually more straightforward.
I could see it kind of going both ways in a sense that it'd be a real test like their match at Stuttgart last year, which was I think 7-6, 6-3, and that was actually a really strong battle. But what are your thoughts on this sort of matchup coming into their round 2 match, Carson?
I think it's a really good win for Emma. Wang has had a pretty good year so far. She's ranked, I believe, 43. So this was a pretty evenly ranked first round matchup. Both of them have played well, so it's a good win for her. As Damien mentioned, had a nice win last week in Strasbourg. So there's a lot of momentum coming into this. Certainly, this is going to be a different type of challenge for Emma, though. And I mean, there was a medical timeout. Hopefully, there's not any ongoing issues from that as they go into their next match. But there will be a couple days before then. Hopefully, she can be healthy and we get a good match out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of see this being one tight set, one kind of not so tight set in terms of, going into this sort of matchup. We know that Iga's been dominant in the past, but I feel as though Emma can pose a threat for a certain period of time. But I think as you kind of get more into the match, it'll be more and more of a challenge to sustain that high level that Emma's going to have to bring to challenge Iga. But yeah, I see it kind of, unless Iga brings, she doesn't turn up on the day and Emma's fully firing. But yeah, I just don't see it fully panning out for Raducanu, unfortunately, from my perspective anyway.
I mean, to get Swiatek into any sort of like panic or whatever, I mean, you first have to actually put pressure on her. I don't know what Emma does it with. Like, that was also the Australian Open match. It's just super heavy strokes of both wings from Swiatek, and what the hell is Raducanu supposed to do? I do think a lot of her assets are just like taken away completely in this matchup, and it's difficult. Their Stuttgart matches were good, both of them. Indian Wells, Australia, not so much. Well, I mean, I guess I'm slightly more optimistic that we might get a match here than in Australia, which is pretty funny, but I guess that's where we are right now.
I do think we probably will get more of a matchup than we did in Australia.
The bar isn't high, so...
No, exactly. And just thinking about how Emma was serving then, the serves developed a lot since that point. Emma was struggling with double faults and... she hadn't really found her rhythm with her ground strokes. You could see, if you look at the difference from her second round match with Anna Samova, in Australia, she kind of handed it to her with unforced errors, and Raducanu just kind of grinding it down instead of hitting winners off the ground. And now she's kind of hitting a bigger ball now. So yeah, I kind of expect it to be a lot closer than it was in Australia, but still Swiatek comes through.
Raducanu, Iga Swiatek.
I mean, tough one for Emma. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, 4-time champion. Yeah, it's a free hit. I hope for Emma that there's a couple, or at least one match, I think maybe in Australia this year when she barely laid a glove on Iga. If I'm not saying that you would ever take this result, but if it ends up being 4-3, 4-4, or she gets to a tiebreak or even wins a set, any of those, I think it would not round off her clay court season in a good way, but it would go, you know what? We could look at the last 4 or 5 weeks for Emma and go, that was, without a shadow of a doubt, her best clay court season.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, she did push her on clay a bit in Stuttgart, didn't she, last year?
Yeah, very different clay.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember that she played Emma. I think she played Iga in 22 and 24. She's played Iga twice at Stuttgart, and both times they were relatively close sets. So yeah, I'm optimistic that Emma can, get some good points against Iga. I just think that if she's physically struggling, Iga's a nightmare to play in this certain circumstance. And also, I think Iga's level is a lot more consistent, even this version of Iga. And I think Emma's is a lot more up and down. So I think that she'll try and make it as good a fight as she can. But and I don't think she's going to get steamrolled. But I do think Iga it's going to take a lot to take Iga down.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you said. I will just add this, that she had 1 or 2 physical issues again today, Emma, albeit I don't think it was the back, which I know had troubled her in Strasbourg last week in her loss to Daniel Collins. She's a little bit unfortunate with the draw, obviously playing the 4-time champion in the second round. Otherwise, she could have maybe even gone another round or 2 further. But I think, like you, I do see it probably ending in a straight sets loss for Emma, and Iga, of course, maybe breathing a sigh of relief after Marta Kostyuk's loss yesterday.
Yes, I think that's certainly made her path to the 4th round like a lot less treacherous. Yeah, I think that's going to help her feel more confident going into the second week and, try and keep going deep in these tournaments. Certainly, I think the target needs to be do better than Rome. And that's going to give us some optimism for that and get some momentum going, because she's going to need it for whoever she plays in the fourth round, but particularly if it's Raducanu or Ostapenko.
Indeed, yeah.
Solid performance. How pleased are you with the match today?
Yeah, for sure it was intense, and a lot of tough games and a lot of chances. So I'm happy that I used some of them, and I got the lead in both sets, and could finish it strong at the end.
Can you talk about the mental part of the game? Because, for example, on your service game, after maybe the first two service game, it was, I would say, easy in the sense of you were winning most of the points. Emma was building a lot of pressure on you, but at the same time you responded very, very well every single time. I was wondering if you were really that much prepared, or kind of you started it after she broke in the first game.
Oh, honestly, I think it's too complicated question. I don't know if I thought of it, that way. I knew that even though, she started playing at the beginning pretty with her hand loose, like she had nothing to lose, and I totally get that. Sometimes it is like that, but I knew that I was kind of questioning if she's going to be able to keep the same intensity throughout the whole match. It wasn't about, service games or return games. I was just, waiting for my chances to break back, and I was sure that I'm going to get them.
Iga, on her serve, can you talk about her serve as a shot? Is it difficult to read? Is it the placement? What is it that when she is serving well makes it difficult?
I think she has a really good placement. She was serving, even though it wasn't like 180, it was sometimes, on the line and pretty tricky. So she's mixing it up, and yeah, she has a pretty good serve.
You played Emma here 2 years ago. Were there any differences today with what was going on the other side of the net compared to then, or no difference at all?
Well, honestly, I played so many matches since then that it's, I don't really remember how it went, 2 years ago. I just remember I was, surprised with how she can spin the ball on her forehand, because we never played before. So I never knew she's capable of that, and today I knew that, so I wouldn't say there was a much difference in that, but for sure, she's older, she has learned a lot, and I would say the intensity was a little bit higher, yeah.
Is Emma someone you would look forward to play many more matches, because it seems like a good matchup? It was a great match 2 years ago, it was another great match today, so it seems like a good fit.
I mean, for fans, for sure, it's nice.
For you, it's also nice to look forward to have someone where it's.
Well, I mean, we have plenty of players to play against on WTA Tour, so I wouldn't say, Emma is the one specific that I'm, looking forward to play with, because we have a tough matchups, every week, so it doesn't really matter for me.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
My name is Clara.
Good morning.
How are you, Carson? All right?
Well, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Just watching these players warm up as I see Iga Swiatek's record is 36-2. Will it be 37-2 or will it be 36-3 at the conclusion of this match, Carson?
I'm leaning towards her getting a win today. Emma and Iga have played 4 times, twice on hard courts, twice on clay. Interestingly, their closest matches have been on clay.
Yeah, that is a curious one, yeah.
Which is a very different conditions from here, obviously. So I am still backing Iga for this one. I think that she'll find a way to pull through here.
Have you managed to watch any of the? Yeah, I'm going Iga probably in straight sets. Yeah. Have you managed to catch any other matches from today, or at least any results that have sort of stood out for you?
A bit. Obviously, I think the big result is Casper Ruud falling out. Player that, and in the men's draw, I think a lot of people expected, at the very least, to make a run into the second week of the tournament, if not be one of those second-tier contenders for the title. Carlos Alcaraz just finished playing on this court a few moments ago, had a bit of a shaky performance in the second set that maybe raises some questions, but fairly strong other than that one set.
Yeah, I can see Brenna backstage. Whenever you're ready, Brenna, just bring yourself forward. Just do so of your own accord. Yeah, I agree. Alcaraz really was Alcaraz himself in so many ways. There was even one shot right near the end where he just has an easy put away with a forehand. I think Marajan was a sitting duck, and yet he still managed to clip the net with that. He won the point, and it barely changed the trajectory of the ball, but it did sort of suggest, it was just too easy for him, that particular shot. And he had to apologize, and I think he recognized his own sort of carelessness, if you like, in just clipping that. But there was a highlight reel as well, some round the post stuff. There was one point, I think, where he broke with where he was just getting further and further and down in the point as Marajan was pulling him left, right, and center. And when he was most furthest down in the point was when he produced a lob winner as he chased down, I think, a drop shot. So yeah, I think overall though, that's kind of good news for him in a way. He's been pushed, but not been pushed too much that it's going to fatigue him for bigger assignments to come. Hey, Brenna, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's almost similar to the Jesper de Jong situation of last year, but I feel like there was more like question marks in terms of his health at that point.
Yes.
For Carlos. So, I guess that's a little different, but yeah, awesome.
And Brenna, I know we heard from a bunch of people regarding this Raducanu Swiatek match that's about to come. But I'm not sure if you were one of them. There's 5 people I've referenced. There's Nick, myself, Carson, I think. Were you one of the 5 that are part of the preview video, Brenna?
I don't.
I don't think you are.
I don't think I am. I don't think I am.
We there's kind of 3 parts to the preview that I just posted as you saw on the live stream, and there was a part where 3 of you are talking about the match. Nick and I are also talking about the match, and then finally Iga's talking about the matchup. So we've got Iga's thoughts on the matchup, because in Stuttgart last year she talked about the matchup, if you like, which is still relevant today. Some things that surprised her about the Emma forehand on clay. And anyway, give us your quick thoughts on what we're going to see unfold in front of us, Brenna.
Yeah, I mean, I still back Iga here. I think she's well versed, obviously, and I think Emma has the ability to like defend a lot. It's just once you get in those like longer rallies, you really have to go for it at some point. So I think she might be able to get stretched out there a bit too much. But there you can see even on the first return, like trying to step in and rush Iga as much as you can. So that's good.
Cool. I'm just going to go backstage for a short period. It might be 1 minute, it might be 5, but I'll be back short.
All right. All right, match has started.
Yep.
15 here.
Yeah, Mark, haven't seen you before. Thanks for joining the chat.
And Matthew in the chat as well. Thanks for joining us for this watch along here.
All right, what were your thoughts, Carson?
I think, looking at the head-to-head, it was interesting to me. These two have played 4 times, and their closest matches have been on clay, which is interesting, I think, when you think about how well Swiatek performs on clay courts. Typically, that the matches that have not been close were on hard. So it's an interesting footnote to me, I guess, as I consider this. But I think Swiatek's going to pull this one out in 2 sets.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge, really. I guess, like, her level, obviously, compared to where it was last year this time. I mean, I still have those high expectations for Iga, though. I didn't watch any of her first-round match, but I know, it was fairly straightforward, so.
Yeah, she won her first round match 6-3, 6-3, so it
yeah.
Not like
not
the 11-1 bagel.
Yeah, not the
that we get, but
the Iga bakery we're used to.
But straightforward enough. There wasn't too much pressure on her in that match. A double fault from Iga.
Doubles. Yeah. Well, I thought it was too bad to see, Casper Ruud go out this early. Obviously, the way he did, it's definitely a tough way to wrap up this season, clay season. That is.
Yeah, that was difficult to watch him over the last few moments of that match. Player that I think a lot of people expect to at least make a run into the second week, if not make some significant headway into that second week. So this second round exit will be disappointing for him.
Yeah, and someone mentioned it, I think, on Twitter. He got ill in that semifinal versus Zverev after the first set or so, which sparked my memory. So kind of just a tough run-in. As we see some dynamic play there from Iga. Took a lot of pace off it, but did go back in up the line. Got herself a step in forehand.
That was really good point construction. Good morning, Jake.
Morning, Jake. Yeah, were the conditions a bit rougher today, or like early in the morning? Was it wet? Is that what I was reading, or did I get that wrong?
It's been fairly humid today.
Okay.
As well, which
that might go more with it because I was hearing about like muddy balls.
It's was it they showed the weather? It's before the match started. It's like 73 degrees and like 55% Fahrenheit, which is higher than it has been the past few days. So. maybe not quite like muggy conditions, but not super dry either. Longer opening game to this match, almost 6 minutes already.
Yeah.
You guys not getting many first serves in yet, just 4 of 9 in this game.
Yeah, really using that backhand up the line well. Going forward, that one was like a bit flatter. But yeah, I mean, that's like when Iga's at her best. Kind of has you on a string, moving you side to side, hitting the open court, hitting with good depth. It's fairly heavy. Yeah, there you just see like that cross court forehand just looks so much better than it did in, I guess, Madrid. Footwork's good. So, yeah, nonetheless, good start. Saves a break point.
Goes up a game early. I do wonder if attacking Emma's forehand is going to be a pretty major part of her game plan today. Just consistently hitting it down that wing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the defensive backhand for Raducanu is fairly solid. But I feel like Iga would be happy to get kind of in those cross-court exchanges and be the one to, change lines on her terms. So that's the way she likes to play. Let's see if it works out. Just checking out. Looks like Zoomer got that first set against GMP in a breaker, of course.
Do you have much expectation for Petri Pergard in this tournament, or do you feel like more of his better results in the next few months will come later on as we hit grass and the hard court swing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not high expectations, but it's a good draw. It's a really good draw. I'm blanking on who he beat. Oh, Zizou Bergs. Beat Berg. You get Bergs, and then you get Zumir. Like, hey, it's beggars can't be choosers, but that's a fairly good round, And they're okay. Third round for Carlos. So yeah, I mean, I would say that's a success.
Before that, decent enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, grass game will go crazy just from, the serve. The backhand, I feel like is it's coming along, but we really haven't seen it on the quicker surfaces. So that's, I guess, my fair analysis there. But I mean, the serve is kind of that can get you to a breaker.
Yeah.
And who knows? The problem has just been the breakers for him.
Well, he hasn't been doing particularly well in those.
Probably as of late, though, he's done well. Probably. Yeah. He came down from 5-love against Bergs. Thought that was insane. I didn't watch it, but
that's right.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Yeah, you got the crowd here, so I might as well use it. All right, Emma. I think, as it always is against Iga, always looking to take you out early. So Emma's just got to go one hold at a time here, 1 point at a time. Looks a bit breezy. Yeah.
Does look like it. A little more difficult to tell inside of these stadium courts,
That's right.
obviously, but wind can whip around in some weird ways, which happens in any stadium. That's a really nice ace,
Wow.
Emma.
That's awesome. Like that from Emma. You gotta keep you on your toes.
Just changing it up a little bit. Trying
Yep.
to get the drop shot.
Unlucky there. Unlucky.
It did seem like Iga read that fairly quickly, though.
Yep.
She was definitely going to get to that ball and be able to do something with it. It was a nice hold.
Yeah.
Close game.
Yeah.
Bernardo Pera has just beaten Donna Vekic in a... Oh, sorry, no. Still going. It's a third set tie break.
Oh, yeah, it goes to 10.
Away. Yeah. That's a great cross for forehand.
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned the first game, but like the footwork around that forehand is much better. Give herself a little bit more time to hit across court. It's important for Iga. Although it doesn't look like she's got. I mean, she's hit 3 balls into the net, and they've all been like kind of center of the court. That one, I think she's just trying to take the backhand early.
I was looking at the live rankings this morning just because I was curious where you get falling to, because obviously live rankings don't have a Roland Garros points from last year. Then she's down to number 8, which is such a weird place to see her in.
Who is?
Iga.
Yeah, oh my God. That's crazy. Yeah, live rankings are crazy. I wonder where Castor Ruud will be after this event.
Good question.
Okay, I am totally seeing some like crosswind, even with like the ball in the air. But what do I know? Is that good? Is that good?
Seems like it.
Yeah. You know, that's why we had the electronic line calling situation yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But like that looks like I'm almost waiting for an out call and I don't know. But I guess like when the chair doesn't get out, that's how he's convinced. But yeah, it's just different. I wonder if the players feel like
only comes down if the player calls him down.
Request it. I wonder if the players are like they feel weird with, you know, a lot of people out there. It's a great exchange. Iga's able to, get her off the court with that backhand. Good exchange.
Yeah, Casper's down to 13 in the live rankings. Archer Fees can pass him with a win. Yeah, but there's a decent amount of players that could pass him as well. But it's an interesting point you brought up about like having more people on the court. Novak brought that up in his interview when he was asked if he preferred electronic line calling or lines judges, and one of his points, it was a small point, but in favor of ELC was having fewer people on the court.
Who was this interview with?
This was just like in his press conference, I think after his round 1 match.
Yeah. Who though? Sorry.
Novak. All right, Swiatek holds.
Djokovic is who it is. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I know it. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like it is weird. It's been what, 5 months now, 6 months with, all electronic.
There is a funny sort of twist on it as well with Novak. I think he raises some interesting points. He's not particularly, either way, but he's just leaning, if you like, towards electronic icon. But there was a funny thought that came through my head when he mentioned the running into people, which I think Alcaraz did today, by the way. And this can happen. I think he's right. Less people on court is a good thing. I think Daniel Collins would like it as well for other reasons. But the funny thing was that one thing that was running through my mind as he's saying less people on court would be a good thing. Do you know what it was? Was the incident at the US Open when he has less people, if there's electronic line calling, he maybe has another Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And not because of a call that went either way. We could talk about it with other players that maybe be in or out. And I know we did one on Nadal on matches that got away, and there was a Miami Open where he's up 2-0 and a break. This is best of 5 against Roger, and he gets done by a terrible call that undoubtedly changed the course of the match and maybe even Miami Open history, at least, if not probably Rafa's legacy on a bigger scale. But he's talking about electronic line calling. I think there's a 50-50 chance he has another slam, because he was such a warm favorite to win that title. And just think about how Zverev and team played in the final. Novak's winning that.
Definitely.
100%. I like that call. I mean, the other thing that comes to mind, and it was this year, is Felix Auger-Aliassime against Bublik in Dubai, I want to say, when I think it was like 6-all in that breaker, and Felix is going to, field a stretch backhand, and the kid's going out to catch the ball, and like they had to end up replaying that point. So yeah, I mean, like, these things can happen. It's that's part of the sport, part of the human element to it. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm okay with the electronic line calling. Less controversy, points over, move on. I do know we had the Sabalenka and Zverev situation, but
it hasn't been perfect. Was it the ATP though? They put out a video like explaining how it works on play, and I thought that was a well done video, with good explanation.
Right. Yeah, obviously, like, confusing at the start, but I mean, they needed something like that to at least clear the air, make it evident.
Super Dave. Good morning. It's 30-15 on the Raducanu server right now.
I don't really understand that comment, but from Super Dave. I don't know that. But 30-all. Pressure point coming up.
Yeah. Dave, maybe you could explain that a little bit more. I mean, it's just like cameras looking at the lines, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the technology is it's impressive. Let's see how Iga kind of approaches the second serve return.
Didn't have to do much on that point.
Yeah, but it was a really good return, honestly. I think she was hunting a backhand, accepted the forehand, and that thing is, just a quick turn of her shoulders, and it's deep, it's heavy, it's rising. Raducanu doesn't have much time, so good return there.
Yeah. Break point now, and Swiatek will see a second serve with this.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see the difference in return there, even. Not deep enough, not causing problems. Good exchange, though. I'm just searching to get back in this point.
Ooh. Emma's a little unlucky there, but Iga deserves that point. Played very well. Early break.
Yeah, you can see the wind. You see the wind ripping now on her shirt. But Iga does get the break. Jake, I have no clue what my life plan is. I do love Europe, though. Spent some time in Rome. I'd like to go back. Yeah, I'm acting as weather specialist today. That is correct. I think I'm doing a good job. Yeah, footwork on full display here. And that's one of those calls that it's just so tight. Let's see. Barely.
Was out. All right, Bernardo Pera has beaten Donna Vekic in a third set tiebreak now. 10-3. Quite a straightforward tiebreak.
Hey man, those always last longer. You're always like, wow, a few points here and there changes momentum, but
that was a good forehand from Iga.
I mean, it looked like Emma was there, but yeah, it's well done. Clara Towson heading to a breaker. Tommy Paul level at 4 games apiece in the first one. That'll be interesting. Vucevic, he's troublesome in a sense. Not for Novak last week, but
he's a difficult opponent. That won't be easy at all. was good work from them on that point. Pretty on the defensive right away. Able to move in and put the forehand away. Got the tire. Come on, Ghosty. A man can't wear a hoodie.
Wow, I didn't realize that Casper had an ongoing knee problem, he said, that he's been dealing with since Monte Carlo. But it seems like it was just inflammation, which allowed him to kind of tough it out, and which now makes it kind of more realistic that he was just going to tough this one out and maybe take the grass season off.
I mean, he basically already does.
Correct.
Only grass he will be on for the next 4 weeks is a golf course. Right. Almost gotten it back to deuce here. And can't hit the return in.
Okay, Super Dude. Yeah, I'm kind of understanding what you're saying. Well, that's why I always thought it was difficult on this surface to do it. But that video, I guess, that the ATP put out was supposed to like clear my concerns up. And it's just like, it's difficult because some ball marks can look out, but by the electronic line calling, they are in, as Iga does hold for 4-1. I mean, look, for the amount of matches we played and the number of controversies we had, which have been low, I feel like so far so good for season 1. Yeah, Super Dave, I agree with that comment too. I like it. Iga, more of the eye of the tiger. She seems locked in. Looks more comfortable. But who's to say when the opponents do get more difficult? Yeah, Jake, I mean, the honest answer to your question is I was late to the Emma game in a sense. I like barely kind of knew about tennis at that time, 2021. I watched it, but not in the same realm that I understand tennis now at this point. But I feel like it's she's still finding things out about herself, and especially like the coaching situation. I feel like that's so important for any player in terms of like trying to get a read on their game, where they're at. And it's mostly like motivation, confidence, keeping yourself sane. Like you need those people around you that support stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm promised. Hopefully we get a promising grass season out of her. We know how much that means to the Brits. So I'm with you though, Jake. I don't really know. I'm unsure myself. I feel like she does have the potential though to compete with the best.
Tommy Paul has dropped the first set. 6-4, got broken.
Wow.
So that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, we also have some people talking about jumping on the ground strokes. I'm going to look for that too. Yeah, that backhand kind of sailed on her as I was looking for, a jumping motion.
All right. 2 break points. That's a nice serve down the tee.
Yep.
That point at 15-30, Emma played some pretty good defense on that point, but it's just hard to hold up that long against Iga. Like, eventually you have to at least get it back to neutral, and she was just never able to do that. Ooh. Oh, no.
Oh, no, I see that, yeah. Raducanu smash and it's a double. Raducanu smash fail.
You guys had me thinking there was some crazy injury I was about to watch.
Nah.
Oh my God.
Her ego might be injured after that one, but that was tough. It's a double break now. Iga's serving for set number 1.
Has it been as comfortable as the scoreline suggests?
I mean,
It seems like every game, when both players are serving, it's like getting to 30-30.
Okay.
Like it is one of those weird scenarios where like the scoreline is quite far off, but it's not like Emma is getting blown off of the court.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, the few big points or pressure points Iga has, played lights out on. So that is that.
Maybe just a moment away from the bakery getting started again.
That's right.
It's been a while since we've had one of those from Iga.
Yeah, the bakery always does go crazy in Paris. So.
I agree, Jake. Yeah, Iga's playing really well, but Emma is getting at least a couple of points in every single game. $30 all now.
Well, I didn't realize that Casper Ruud was signed up for Geneva. Obviously, it's a tournament that he loves and always does well at. But he did pull out of that, trying to give himself some more time, talking about like how in practice he can avoid certain movements that aren't as painful. But, some shots in the matches are just very, very painful to pull off. It's too bad.
Set point now, Iga.
Jake and I were laughing earlier on about some overheads that sort of hit players. So there's a tongue-in-cheek element to Jake's comment there. Yeah, set point here for Iga Swiatek.
Done with very quickly.
Yes, an ace down the tee, 6-1. But you guys were suggesting the scoreline maybe doesn't tell the entire story, at least in terms of maybe it being a bit more competitive than that. I did posit before the match got underway. In fact, a couple of days ago, I think when it was apparent that these two would play, that if Emma got a respectable loss, let's say she makes this second set in terms of the scoreline as well, just super competitive, 7-5, 6-4, 7-6, whatever, and she does go down, I think whatever you're playing Iga Swiatek, who may well come the end of her career be the greatest clay courter we've ever seen on the women's side, at least. And they may be finding a slightly smaller plaque for her 7 French Open titles, for example, on the other side of the court. But then regarding Emmy and her, I think she's been getting wins, which she's barely done throughout her career. So yes, she's had a couple of wins in Stuttgart in her career, but there'd be a lot of false doors regarding Emma. Either she'll then just start losing back-to-back matches on this surface, or even just getting injured and not playing tournaments. So she's had some wins at every tournament I think she's played. I'm not sure she had a first-round exit in Madrid, but she certainly had wins in Strasbourg and in Rome. Losing to Coco there in straights, it happens. I don't think we're talking about the top 5, players in the world, and probably top 5 clay courters in the world as well. Emma will probably always lose to those players if they turn up, as Coco and Iga are doing right now. So yeah, looking at the stats from the first set, by the way, second serve points won which is really killing Emma. It looks like 29% there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like she's done everything she can, this clay season. I feel like you do make a good point in terms of, having realistic expectations and going to an event and, stacking a few wins. Like that's important. That's progress. And obviously a tough draw. You can only control what you can control. So
yeah.
The run in Rome was especially impressive, getting round of 16 there. I believe before, as you mentioned, a tough match against Coco.
Mm-hmm.
But just fighting through some, couple of tighter matches in that tournament and pulling those out on clay, especially, I think is a good result for her.
Beautiful second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go see. We were talking about that yesterday, Dimitrov. It's kind of ridiculous, but at this point you have to, take some time off, get healthy. I don't know where his ranking is now or what it will look like.
Danilovic and Daniel Collins just getting underway. Towson won the first set 7-6 over Roos.
Beautiful. Jajante about to take the first set. I thought he could cause some problems. I wasn't really, really convinced. I just thought, some problems. And already has done better than Martin Echeverry.
Okay. Who's that against?
Stefano Tsitsipas.
Oh, Tsitsipas is down a set.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's down a set. Tommy Paul down a set as well.
Okay.
You haven't seen that against Fucsovics.
No, I hadn't seen that.
So maybe a little bit of drama cooking out on the courts today. Yesterday was fairly straightforward for seeds. feel like a couple of them went down.
Yeah, now GMP is down 2 sets to love. Sumir is a tough opponent on this slow stuff. See if the French crowd can rally him back. But yeah, I mean, Jajante playing some good tennis as of late. Came through qualies. Had to beat Elmer Muller. So, I mean, that lefty forehand obviously has been important in breaking down, the Tsitsipas backhand, I have to imagine, and the Muller backhand. That would be I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right, Jake, but Kajante. I don't know. It would be a big one, though.
Solid hold here to begin the second set.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Fergus would probably speak to it better, but I do feel like, the British media does push that narrative and trying to, hype her up. Hopefully, grass season things are easier, but right, it's difficult. Not many women are just making like semifinal runs week in and week out. It's difficult, and definitely more so on your least preferred surface. And Scott adding his 2 cents in there. Emma will not be the top 10 player until she hires a top coach. Right. I think that needs to get sorted. Yeah, beautiful angle there from Iga. Correct. Yeah, I mean, he's a player that has qualified for Slam or Slams before. I think he's the same age as Arnaldi, Cabali. He's like 23. Played well on the Challenger circuit, but hasn't made that leap yet. Italians have a really good young crop in there. Darderi you can add.
Yeah, they're absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
That's 20 years.
Right, Jake? I was going to say the same thing. Nice volley. Let's go, Ego. Wait, he gets the net. Wait.
Yeah, she doesn't do that much anymore. Not that she ever did it a ton, but that was a fairly straightforward hold now from Iga. Still on serve here early in the second set. Emma pushes the first one along. Oh, that's left. Second serve. So redo that.
Yeah, where is Ostapenko in this draw?
These forehand exchanges are not going in Emma's favor at all. Feels like every time the two of them get into one of those, Iga's going to win the point.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like any cross-court exchange is difficult right now.
Ostapenko is in the Raducanu section. So that's a potential round 4 match.
Too good. Too good.
And love 30.
Oh, yeah, Google Scoreboard having a laugh. Wow, I've never seen Google Scoreboard.
Oh, I haven't seen it be off.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Here's love 40.
It did beat me to the point. Beautiful. Beautiful, like almost inside out. Backhand down the line. This it feels very, very similar to the Coco Gauff Raducanu match.
Ooh, interesting.
That was just too slow. Oh, Meg? Did it go through her legs? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything malicious.
I don't know. What do you think about that? Hitting the ball back at a player. Like I don't really have much of an issue with it.
I don't know. I felt like that time, like maybe you can make the argument the open court's to the left of her, so you just kind of trying to go back behind, maybe miss hits it a bit. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's just one of those unwritten rules. Try not to do it, but sometimes it's the best thing to do. Kind of like when you're running up to trying to put away like a forehand.
Mm-hmm.
You're stretching to it, and that player's at the net. You kind of just have to go across court. Yeah, Matthew, I feel like that was my point when we've had these types of conversations. It's also important that like you get some rhythm, you know. Appreciate it, Jake. I will not be, unfortunately, but I'm never too far. We can always talk some tennis. Yeah. I mean, as we stated, or I stated, I think it's just unwritten rule. I think at times it's part of it. Doubles, I don't watch enough doubles to like have a word, but I feel like it should be more of a reality over there for them. You know, it's just going to happen more often. But yeah. So Iga's got the set and the break. Looking almost flawless at this point.
It's been very good from her today.
Yep.
She's been fantastic.
I mean, she could have gone down that early break, but played an amazing break point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm still remembering that return. Was that even on break point? It was a 30 all. Or is it 15-40 even? That forehand return. There's a nice backhand down the line from Emma.
Mm-hmm.
Iga thinks it's wide. Definitely not.
That was in.
Beautiful.
Sure.
Beautiful. Paul is setting now a breakdown. Matthew, recording me. I'm gonna have to throw that on because that's interesting.
All right, a little bit of pressure here. 15-30.
Collins Danilovic should be good too. Wow. I mean, if anyone's going to fight, it's going to be Tommy Paul. And he did not play last week. He should be fresh. It's never easy playing Fucsovics. Wow, it was a break to love. Iga looking to climb out of one of her own holes from 15-30, 30 all here. Looking to consolidate.
Double fault.
Oh. You have me by a ball. I think that's her second of the match.
What a great point from Iga.
Okay. All right, let's see here. We got ourselves a little deuce battle.
Mm-hmm.
That was Emma's first breakpoint opportunity of the match. She's going to get another one, though.
Second, actually. John, she actually had one to start the match at 30-40. Yeah.
Oh, did she? That's the TV telling me misinformation, then I apologize.
No.
Regarding that previous breakpoint, I actually think Emma could have done a bit better. She defended quite well, but the last point was actually she wasn't in a too defensive position and just left it way too short. Iga got away with a shot as well. She did clip a net. It wasn't too obvious, but she did clip a net with one of her shots in that previous volley. So we could be back on serve here, but Swiatek saves the next break point with a unreturned serve. I think this is. Listen, I don't think Emma's going to win this match, come what may, but this is as big a game as it comes.
Right. I just don't think that's good enough there from Emma. I don't know if she's trying to step in a little bit on the return, but I mean, it's just a clear body serve that I think she's almost trying to chip even, but you got to do better there. Make Iga play a bit.
She did step in on this next serve.
Okay.
Oh, and that time Iga didn't get away with it. She hits the tape and it comes back on her side. So we're going to get, at least in terms of this game, I think it's the third break opportunity for Emma in this game alone. So Emma on return here. She can get a second serve to attack. She's not going to get a second serve to attack. But she's very much in the rally. But that's what he can do, even from a fairly neutralish position.
Iga's forehand especially has been very solid today.
Okay.
Like whenever she's had a chance to like create a large angle like that, she's been putting it away.
Yeah. She has consistently, hit with angle. A lot of margin though, but it's like the type of game you can play here on these courts.
Emma's also needed probably a second serve on one of these last 2 points. Didn't get it. Iga painting the line there, I think, with that backhand. Over 7 minutes now, this game. Ooh, Iga should be winning that point, though.
Yep.
Yeah. That and one shot was nowhere close to as deep as I think it should have been. Just need to put some pressure on there. The serve was great. Just couldn't do anything once the ball came back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she was dominating that point.
Very good.
Yeah, these serves are really helping Iga right now. I think it's 4 maybe first serves in a row. Nice angle there from Emma.
Yeah, Emma unleashing on the forehand a bit.
That was really solid.
Juice. That backhand just painted the line as well. My goodness me. Iga's finding the lines.
All right.
Nine-minute long game.
Yeah. Backhand return here from Emma goes into the net, and Iga Swiatek gets over the line in terms of that. She had to fend off a few break points, and we have got an hour on the clock. Sometimes, in fact, often, Iga's already done on Philippe Chatrier by an hour. So Emma's at least got to that milestone.
Yeah, she's maybe going to regret a couple of the break points and how she played them. Iga served so well towards the end of that game, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was huge.
Shall we do a little score update? I'm curious.
Yeah,
to
sure.
see.
Pechi Pericard down a break now in the third set.
Yeah. Looking down and out, Tommy Paul dropped a second, 6-2.
So he's down 2 sets to love.
Yeah. That's alarm bells. I mean, he got broken to love once. Let's see what happened. Broken to love again? Or no, one time. To 15. That's Fucsovics won 15 out of the last 60 or 16 out of the last 17 points. That's odd. I'm going to throw that one on you. I'm curious. Offner forces a fifth.
Okay, Offner's into a fifth with Hachanov, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rematch.
Yeah.
Very back and forth.
I wouldn't expect anything else, those guys.
Yeah. Back and forth, 5 sets. And now I might just lean Hachanov. Just wondering what his 5-set record is like. I know he had a 5-set with Dan Evans last year in New York.
Lasted like 8 hours.
Yeah. I was there.
Oh, were you at that match?
I was roaming, and I left the match.
I was too.
You were?
I was at that match.
Wow. You two
I came back. I mean, the place was so packed. It was, on the other side of the bleachers looking over just to catch some history.
Danilovic is up a break on Collins.
Yeah, I've gone for Danilovic to win that one.
Really?
She beat you in the French. There was 2 incredible matches they had last year. Both went 3 sets. One in Madrid that went the way of Danielle, but the one at the French Open went the way of Olga.
Towson is up a break on Roos in the second set now.
Okay, so that's a set and a break, yeah.
4-3. Did she miss that? Wow. All right, 30 all. Feel like this could start to get away from Emma quickly if she can't hold here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's one of those push-pull games where, maybe we have some life if Emma holds, but yeah, it's probably done and dusted. Ego wins here. Good exchange. Emma goes for the winner. Slap forehand just goes wide.
Yeah, break point here, which is a mini match point. Even if you're not quite convinced that we've already got an Ego win coming, I think you will be if she wins this next point. Emma had to break in that previous game, and she kind of had opportunities. Iga did serve well on a couple of those break points, but there was 1 or 2 others where Raducanu was in the rally. That's good for Emma. That's good. Good depth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Tommy Paul did go off court in betweens or after the second set. Let's see if he can right the ship.
Yeah, just going to share that on the screen, some of the scores. I see Peder beat, Vekic. Vekic in third set tie breaks. Of course, I'm actually only thinking of one against Paolini last year, but
yeah,
she had a very, very close 3-set loss to Greet Minnen as well. I think it might have been 7-5 though, rather than the tie break in the Netherlands just before Wimbledon last year. Raducanu brings up a game point. Good first serve from her there that helped set that up in a way.
Yeah, and she's teeing off on these forehands.
Where are you at in terms of your stream, Brenner? Are you behind? Are you more or less on the
No,
same?
well, I had it on my TV, but you guys were a point ahead, so I went on my computer, and I'm pretty much in line with you.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I know Carlson is about 3 or 4 seconds ahead of me, but that's about it. And Swiatek has gone wide on the return, so Emma has held, getting herself out of a breakpoint hole.
Yeah. Zumir, I think he is going to knock out GMP. I'm curious if this is his best result. Kind of at.
I've been looking at this recently. I'm pretty sure he's made a third round at the French before.
Okay.
I had for some reason thought he'd gone deeper. I thought maybe he'd had a fourth round or even a quarter final at some point in his career. But then I looked across for someone who's pretty volatile. His Grand Slam results are pretty consistent. I think he's reaching round 2 and 3 across the board.
It's pretty impressive.
Much.
I mean, he was someone I didn't really pay much attention to. He gathered a bunch of challenger titles, I think across all sorts of surfaces, but
33 years old.
Yeah. I mean, he's a grinder, man. He's not someone you want to, see. He's a competitor.
Yeah, he's reached the third round at 3 of the 4 slams, and Wimbledon he's reached the second round 3 times. So there's a real solid sort of basis of there, and he's going to add a French Open third round probably as well now, albeit that might be where it ends because Carlos Alcaraz lies in wait.
That's right.
Interesting. None of those have happened since 2018.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah. I saw him in Bonn. I saw him in Bonn.
That's before my time of covering him.
Yeah, I saw Jamur in Bonn last year, and he lost his temper. Let's say he's a volatile guy.
Yeah, that's what you wanted, though, right?
In a lot. Yeah, it was fun. In fact, I wonder if I've got some video of it. Not him losing his temper necessarily, but him losing a couple of points. I think I've got some video. Yeah, alternative tennis commentary. I'll play it at the end. I won't play it during the match. I'll play it at the end of this stream maybe or some other time. But yeah, it's amusing. Okay, Swiatek here looking to extend her lead from 3-2 to 4-2 with that break that she has. Did you say Towson was up a break? Because if she was, that's gone.
She was up a break. That's gone. Has a break point though. Looks like so.
Yeah, and if she breaks here, she'll be serving for it.
No, I have Towson serving for it. Oh, then she must have just broken. Apologies.
Yep. Just broke, it looks like.
And Tommy Paul did hold to start. Matteo, how do you say this last name? Gigante?
Maybe Gigante.
Is that what it
depends.
is?
It's either Gigante or Gigante.
Okay, Gigante.
I would go Gigante, personally.
Well, he got a break back, so he's back on serve in the second set.
Okay.
Oh, and GMP is back on serve.
Okay. He goes up at 40 love. Yeah, just having a look at this Gigante Tsitsipas scoreline, yeah. So you said Tsitsipas was up a break there, but he's got it back.
Right.
That's a lovely volley from Iga. Not known for her volleys. It's a lovely touch at the net.
Yes.
She's had a couple good volleys today.
Okay.
Which
might bode well for Wimbledon. Yeah. Yeah, maybe she's going to come to the net a bit more often. We'll see. Okay, Mark, that's an interesting stat. So Jamur's gone out in the first round of qualifying for the last 4 years. So, I mean, I do see him as a hit and miss player, but like I say, he's pretty consistent in terms of his best. But yeah, the last 4 years at RG hasn't worked out too well for him, but now he's in the third round. So he's not in the third round yet, is he?
Right.
Jake, okay, listen, I think I'm a bit further away than a year ago, but she's made a quarterfinal at Wimbledon before, not because of her volleying prowess, mind you, but I've thought that a Wimbledon title is within her grasp. She's a junior champion on that surface. I know junior champions often don't convert into main tour champions, but I thought the gap between her and the field, it's almost like Sabalenka and her French Open pursuit. She's not a natural clay court player by any stretch of the imagination, especially in terms of movement and some of the other skills you need, patience maybe on this surface. But she's got a chance because she's just so good. So with Iga and Wimbledon and grass, I just thought, going in last year, she was the best player in the world. There was no Arina Sabalenka at that tournament. Raducanu, we knew about her travails, and we saw a final between Jasmine Paolini and Barbora Krejcikova. So if you're telling me that Iga can't win that, and didn't she have a match? She had a real battle the year before, I think, or it might have been, the year before, 2023, when she had an incredible match with Bencic that she came through. She then loses to Svitolina in the quarters, but I think that could have gone either way. The last 2 years, there is an alternative universe where she's in a Wimbledon final. I think it's a bit more difficult right now, but yeah. Will she be in a French Open final in 10 days from now? I think she might be.
Yeah.
The draws helped. I think, Kostyuk going out, Paolini quarter. Those two changed a lot in the last 3 or 4 days because when that draw was made and you looked at her first 4 rounds and obviously Ostapenko or Raducanu line weight, that's the one. That's the one. That's the match. That 4th round match with either Ostapenko or Raducanu, assuming it's one of those two. And that is going to possibly define Iga's tournament.
Yeah. There are obviously some major issues if an Ostapenko match happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe more than, I think.
Even Raducanu has been an issue for her. So
it's going to be called in, this serve. So it's 15-40. Yeah, she has been, even on clay. I mean, she's beaten her in Stuttgart on clay. But yeah, you might think that if it's Ostapenko is flying, then you might well want to play Raducanu in that 4th round. Bearing in mind that, obviously, that head-to-head, which I don't know if you're aware of, but Iga's never beaten Ostapenko. I mean, that's something that's so rarely spoken about in tennis. It's really flown under the radar, that head-to-head.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Never heard of that before.
I'm glad I kept going with that one just to make sure I got my sarcastic message through, because I could have just left it a couple of sentences before, but then you might have been like, well, is he serious? 2 break points have been saved here by Emma, one with an ace, as it turned out, after a quick line check. She's really struggling on serve, isn't she, Emma, in this match? Basically, always under threat.
Tommy Paul did get an early break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the score in that one?
2-love in the second. Tommy.
Okay, the second set. So he's only down 1 set to love.
Third. I apologize. Third.
So he's down 2 sets to love, but he's got a break up in the third.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we do know about Tommy is he's got the energy for a 5-setter. Yeah. Anyway, what we certainly won't be getting on Philippe Chatrier is 5 sets. We probably won't even be getting 3 between Emma and Iga. Iga's going to serve for the match. I posited before in terms of games that, if Emma could have a respectable scoreline, she could round off her clay season and look back on it with some pride. I still think, even if this ends up being 1 and 2, this she could have broken serve in this set. The scoreline is good for Iga and deservedly so, but Emma's not. I don't think Emma's got anything to be ashamed about losing to the 4-time French Open winner in this manner. And
I don't think so.
Emma's just got to stay healthy. Emma's always going to have losses on clay. She may never win a title on clay, and if she does, it might be a 250 somewhere that she vultures. But she's never probably going to really, unless a draw opens up, go that far at the French Open. That's just how her game style is. Hard courts and grass, different kettle of fish. Do you use that expression in the US? Different kettle of fish?
Do not.
Nope.
Do you know it? Do you know it though?
I don't.
I do know.
It means entirely different. And it's such a weird thing because maybe in the past we used to put fish in kettles, but if I walked into someone's apartment and I saw them putting fish into their kettles, I'd be going, is everything okay? Because I think normally we've got hot water in there. But anyway, it's an expression we use in the UK, different kettle of fish, just meaning entirely different. Emma had a chance there on that serve, but she goes long. And so Iga's 3 points away from victory. But yeah, hard courts and grass for Emma. It's what it's all about. It's what her career will be defined by. And I'm still not that optimistic that she's going to be making a slam final soon. But, you know, she's been close at Wimbledon to a quarterfinal, even since the US Open win. I think she was maybe third or fourth found last year. Who's that French player waiting in the wings, probably to do the on-court interview? He's got a beard. I think he's off the tour at the moment with a wrist injury. He's had a few injuries in recent years.
I didn't see.
I've seen him do an on-court interview already, and I should know it because he's a main tour player. He's top 200. Although I'm sure he's plummeting right now. I think I remember seeing him on an Instagram post like November, December last year, and he's like he's one of those wrist ones, and he's like, "See you in a bit." Luca Pui, thank you, Jake. Yeah.
Oh, great call.
Former slam quarterfinalist, maybe in Australia. I think he might have made the third or fourth round at Wimbledon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Steve who does a lot of commentary for Portuguese TV. And he's often at various tournaments around Portugal, doing on-court interviews as well. And I called him the Grim Reaper because you see him. Let's say you're down a set and a break, and suddenly you see him at the side of the court. You're like, oh, it's that time. just like Luca Pui emerging there. Just like the really famous guy, the French guy who does the Rafa intro. I think he occasionally does them, but obviously Mats Wilander, whoever these guys are who are doing the encore interview, you see them emerge like he has right now as Iga serving for the match. And you look, if you're Emma Raducanu, you look over, you go, okay, that's that. The Grim Reaper's here to pick me up. Iga Swiatek, you lucky devil, with that that volley. That's added to her volley winner total as well. Yeah. So I think 9. And we'll be looking at the stats afterwards, but we will be aware of one of those being a net cord.
Sets up a match point, though. She won't complain about it too much.
Okay, 40-15, yeah. Here we go. Should be 2-1, you'd imagine. First serve lands in. Forehand return from Emma is good. Not enough of that, really. If there is something from Emma today on the return, you'd be going, you could have done with a few more of those and made this a bit more competitive, at least in terms of the scoreline. That was a first serve from Iga, I think. I don't know if she just thought, you know what?
She just rolled that one in.
Yeah, I think it was just like, it's match point. Normally in that situation, you're up 6-1, 5-2. You go, you know what? The next 4 serves are all going to be first because you could afford a couple of double faults, you know? That first serve there was pretty lame and didn't even go over the net. That's how lame it was. 40-30. Second match point here for Iga. Good second serve, though, with decent depth. It's helped to get in charge of this point. Backhand to backhand right now. Switching up to the Iga forehand. Good depth there from Emma. Iga Swiatek, though, wow. Lovely backhand winner down the line. That ball was attackable, but it was by no means a gimme. She's got the job done. 6-1, 6-2. Iga Swiatek progresses to round 3. Emma Raducanu's clay court season is at an end, losing to Iga Swiatek, the 4-time champion here. Carson, what are your thoughts on this match?
This is a great match from Iga, the best I've seen her in a while. Like, honestly, you just show me this match a year ago and say that it has happened during her title run last year, it looks like it fits in. It's that level of match. So really good to see this from her. Maybe getting a little bit of confidence at a venue where she's performed extremely well over the last 5 years. Much bigger challenges to come. Obviously, Raducanu on clay is not going to be the most difficult match that she has, but I think she can feel very good about her game after this win.
Yes, agreed. What do you think, Berna?
I thought it was a very confident performance. I think from the ground, trusting her ground strokes really well, and hey, getting to the net too. But yeah, I mean, going for some shots, particularly as you saw on match point, going for the backhand down the line, really forcing the issue, forehand up the line, getting to the net. It was confident all around. I think the movement is looking really, really, really good as well. So,
all right, let's have a quick listen to Iga. She speaks to the aforementioned Luca Pui.
Yeah.
Just want to play my game. I've got the German dubbing over the top. Feels like she's sort of saying it was on my racket today. Yeah, she's very happy that she was managed to execute her plan today, let's say. Oh. That's a standard on-court interview question. What are you going to do tomorrow? They never say, "Oh, I'm going to Disneyland Paris."
Yeah.
And these players, of course, get to travel the world, but probably rarely get to see
the fun stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff. Yeah. Okay. So who is Iga playing next? Do we know?
Winner of Sarah Balek and Jacqueline Christian.
And how is that going?
They play later today. That's on, I forget what court that's on.
Okay.
One of the outer courts.
All right.
Yeah,
I've yet
Christian
to see this.
ranked 60. And
I've yet to see the stats from this. I've yet to see the stats from this particular encounter between Iga and Emma. I'm going to try and get them up on the screen before we bring this stream to a close. But just a reminder, if you're just tuning in, Iga Swiatek has won 6-1, 6-2. Emma had her chances. She had, I think, a game where she forced 3 breakpoint chances. Brenner also highlighting one right at the beginning of the match that Emma had. So had chances to make the scoreline more competitive, but that's probably about as far as you can stretch it for Emma. It was ultimately a pretty comfortable win for Iga Swiatek. Let's see if I can get these stats before we run out of time, so to speak. 1 hour, 19 minutes for this entire encounter. Actually, that's pretty lengthy for a 1 and 2. I think Iga often will get a 1 and 2 done in an hour as she heads off court. Just have a quick look at these stats, and I want to get your views on this as well. Emma did increase slightly her second serve winning scenario. She was 29%, I think it was, for the first set, eking it up to 35% in the second. So she was being killed there on her second serve. I think we saw that a lot. And once Iga was getting her teeth into a rally, it was rarely in doubt. Brennan, what are your thoughts?
You're talking about the encounter here? Sorry, I missed that.
Well, either the encounter or all the stats that I've just highlighted.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first serve percentage is obviously very clear. I think she doesn't need to serve that big. I feel like that hasn't been something that defines her game by any means. But obviously the +1 is important. Playing with fair margin, I feel like, in these rallies, but as Iga likes to do on the surface, just very dictate, kind of have you on a string, hit to the open court, get you on the move. So I thought she did a good job executing that.
Yeah, just regarding the shot sort of tolerance and how those ones are ran, pretty much Iga's just winning them all. So tactically, I don't think there's a lot Emma could have done. I mean, when you look at this sort of shot one, that's the first thing I'm thinking of. If you see one player is up very much, say the player that lost is up in the 1-4 scenario, you're thinking maybe you should have been more aggressive throughout. Or if they're, for example, up in the 9-shot +1, but they're losing the match, then again, you would probably say be a bit more patient throughout. But I think here we're just seeing total domination from Iga throughout and winning almost double the number of points. Well, not quite double, but 63-39 in terms of points won. Okay, I've got a simple question for you both, but I'll come to Carson first. Carson, is Iga Swiatek winning the French Open? And if she isn't, why isn't she?
Right now, I would still say no. I think simple answer is I trust especially Coco Gauff, but even Sabalenka a little bit more than her right now on a match-to-match basis. This is a great win from Iga, but it doesn't necessarily erase everything that we've seen the past 4 months, really, that has happened after the Australian Open.
Fair enough. Brenner.
I think she does win it. I think. Okay. I think, Carson, you do make a good point though about, like, I guess the body of work this clay season. It's like hard to forget that just after, you know, a win over Emma Raducanu, where you're a huge favorite. You know, she's gonna look that good, or she's likely to look that good. But I think actually, for a reason you stated, was from a match-to-match basis, yeah, maybe better. But I think in these bigger matches, I think that Iga should be filled with confidence, having the experience here, you know, having won it many times. And I think she does have that edge over, you know, Sabalenka, Gauff on this surface. So that's where I just think, you know, those bigger moments, she's been here before. She has the ability to clutch up. And I think that kind of mentality, experience, and overall, like, trust in her game will allow her to prevail.
For me, her tournament may well be defined by the fourth round encounter, whether it's against a Rybakina or Ostapenko. I do have her emerging as a winner in the third round. We already touched on her potential opponents there, but her tournament, I think, will be defined by that, because I think that'll be possibly her toughest assignment in the tournament, at least until the semis. And there's no guarantees that we're going to get Gauff and Sabalenka. You know, Mira Andreeva, I think, has to be in the sort of equation, and Qin Wenjing too. There's no guarantees that all of these players are going to go deep, and some of them on a different side of the draw as well. So we do know that there's a very good chance that she'll be playing Rybakina or Ostapenko in the fourth round. And I think she wins that. I think she beats Paolini if that does happen in the quarters, despite the improvements that Jasmine has made. And then she's got a semi-final, which would be against Coco Gauff, I believe. Again, that's defined depending on Coco getting there. So with all the variables, there's only one thing that we can sort of kind of rely on, and that is the fact that Philippe Chatrier, Roland Garros, is a place where she's won the title 4 times, not 40 times, 4 times. And she's only lost twice at the French Open. And I think we had a stat at the beginning, it was 26-2. So that'll now become 27-2, I think. So, yeah. Now, that's not me saying it with any confidence, but I am just thinking that this result today, this performance as well, can give her some confidence. And it could be just one match. It was just one match last year. It was Naomi Osaka. Yeah. That win for the French Open. Everything else was a cakewalk, and none more so than the final. I mean, the final was as comfortable for her as any other match in the entire tournament, Naomi Osaka apart. So it was one match, and it might well be the same this year because, as I say, Sabalenka's vulnerable. You know, she can lose matches on clay. She's lost to Mira Andreeva. She got sick last year. And if it's Sabalenka, if it is a Sabalenka-Swiatek final, we've yet to have a Grand Slam final, of course, that'll also suggest that Iga's got over some sort of form hump. Do you know what I mean? So one of the biggest arguments that Carson certainly highlighted, and I know Jack was very keen to emphasize before the tournament, is the form. Well, she's kind of reversed that if she gets to the final, because she hasn't been in a final since Roland Garros last year, at least in terms of the WTA singles tour and slams. So she will have reversed that. You know, I still think Iga, because of her extremely high expectations and of her pedigree at Roland Garros, a final loss would be painful in whatever shape or form. But in terms of actual results, it'll be easily her best run of the year, without a doubt, and best run of the last 12 months. Anyway, I've had my little say. I don't know if either of you want to react to anything I've said before we do officially bring this to a close.
Yeah, I think obviously, because we can say the same thing about like Novak. Obviously, he just won a tournament, so a little bit different conversation there. But this is 7 matches over the course of 2 weeks. Like, if you do get to the semifinals, finals, you're doing something correct at that, and you're playing
similar. Well. It's similar, Carson, to Novak. I like that. I do like the comparison. One thing I would say though is that he's not in the conversation yet to win the French Open title, I don't think. He might be by the time we get to next Friday, whereas Iga is in the conversation. There's a different sort of starting point, I think, with both of those two players. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I'd maybe rate Djokovic's chances a little bit higher.
Okay.
I don't think he's one of the top two, but I don't think he's outside of the top five in terms of who can win the tournament. Yeah, but if he can get to the semifinals, get to the finals, she's probably playing pretty well. She's probably figured out some things at that point. I mean, for me, then I just think about the loss to Coco Gauff in the semifinals of Rome, where it did start to look like she had maybe figured out a couple of things, and then goes up against Gauff and wins 3 games in the match. Yeah, I'm just not quite convinced that everything that has been an issue for her, whether mentally or physically with how she's playing right now, is just gone yet.
Greta?
Yeah, I mean, I think important to note that semifinal loss, or I don't know if it was quarterfinal, to Coco was actually in Madrid, and I think that was a little bit of a tough week for Iga mentally, but I think what I would like to see is how she does handle the pressure. I think if she does get to these matches, I actually think she has like an edge, having been there, that experience. So I think that is important, though. How does she handle the pressure of, being deep in this tournament again and understanding kind of the circumstances? That's something that I've thought about, before the treble per se. You think Rome, Madrid, and the French Open, and she hasn't, come close to any of the finals, but here we are in the last event, and it's all about how does she, handle herself as the moment just continues to get bigger.
I'm glad Snehal has picked me up on this. So it's actually the other way around. It'll be Saba in the semis and Coco in the final, although I do think the argument still stands. So we'll see. We'll see. A lot of tennis to be played, but as I say, I think we may well be looking at her tournament defined by that potential 4th round against Raducanu or Ostapenko or somebody else. We'll see. And of course, Iga could lose in round 3. So ifs, buts, and maybes. We'll see over the next 10 days or so. Big thanks for joining me today, Carson.
Yeah, thank you.
And same to you as well. Thanks for joining me, Brenna.
Thanks.
And to everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.